Welcome to Shrimperscast with me, Bernie Friend.
And me, Paul Hill.
On today's show,
King Kev plays his cards right as Harry and Callie said Harriers packing.
We've got the reaction from the Hall as the Shrimpers' strong start continues.
We look forward to the Blues' next game away at Halifax.
We'll talk through all the latest takeover news.
And we've got the hotly anticipated interview with the man himself, King Kevin Maher. Hello and welcome to Shrimperscast, our very first episode. And I'm here with Bernie. How are we doing, Bernie?
Yeah, good, mate. You?
Not too bad, not too bad. Can't believe we're finally doing it. It's great.
Oh, that's lovely.
So, let's crack on. Kidderminster Harriers, you were there. What was going on?
Oh, do you know what? Great result for the boys. Got themselves back into the points on the table. Got rid of that horrible -2. You know, everyone, you can't have a better win than what they had last minute. Lots of drama, the whole, everyone going home happy. But, you know, the one thing that really struck me about the match, the 3 points, obviously, you know, the thing that we all want, but it was just the unity at the club. You know, I've seen, as you have, you've seen successful Southend sides. I've seen promotions, double promotions, relegation battles that we've won. And there's always that, you know, togetherness. But this feels like something really different, you know, from the fans to the players to the manager who's, you know, taking it all on his broad shoulders. And, you know, I think every one of those players out there, you've got to look at them and say, you know, they're heroes. Every single one of them, 1 to 11. You can't find fault with them all, with any of them. You know, it's very hard times. I know for a fact that there's players in that squad that are on 400 quid a week. Now, my personal earns more than that, probably, you know. So for them to be out there, they're not doing it for riches and to buy a Lamborghini. They're doing it for the club. For them fans that are out there, for the fans that are shouting Martin out, for the fans that are staying away, for the fans that want their club to return to better times. And I think, talking of that spirit and, you know, how the players are playing for the club, Harry Cardwell, to me, was the prime example of that at the weekend. He had a chance to go at deadline to Exeter, who were, you know, top of League One, and he didn't go, you know, but he didn't down tools and, you know, sulk around like a prima donna on the pitch on Saturday. He led from the front, he put himself about, and he got the reward he deserved with a great goal, and then played a part in the second goal that power popped home right at the end. So, you know, brilliant. And I think the other thing you say about the team is they are a Kevin Maher team. They play like Kev. They say that teams are a mirror image of their managers, and they really are a mirror image of Kev. The way they pass the ball around, and even like Kev used to do, get his foot in every now and then. Yeah, you know, top marks to the boys. Oh,
absolutely. And there is that, I love that unity that we have got. Everyone's in it. We feel like we're all in it together.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. Every single person, from the keeper to the strikers to the managers and the coaching staff to, you know, the kids and the adults in the stand to, you know, the birds serving up the burgers.
Absolutely. So many great people at that club, and seeing us all pull in the same direction is exactly what this community needs, this city needs. And fingers crossed we don't fold come end of October the 4th.
October the 4th, the countdown has begun.
It has indeed. That big points deduction absolutely knocked the wind out our sails from a great start to the season. So where does that put us on the table?
Well, we're bottom of the table still, but obviously we've got 2 points, we're back in the black. But, you know, if you were going to add them 10 points on we had taken away, we'd be 5th in the table, I believe. Because I think just off the top of me, we've got the second best goal difference in the league, even though we're bottom. That doesn't happen very often, does it? So yeah, so I think we'd be 5th in the league at the moment, and obviously, you know, in the playoff zone, and you'd see with everything that's gone on, it'd have been a really solid, good start to the season, especially with all the background.
Absolutely, and I think that momentum is going to carry on. I think we're going to get out of the bottom 4.
Yeah, I mean, you know, nothing's guaranteed in football, but you know, the way you saw the boys, as we already said, the spirit they had at the weekend, you've got to think that we're not going to be relegation fodder this season.
No chance. Kidderminster game again. So, any standout performances?
Well, I've already said about Cards how well he done when he could have, not wanted to be there. But no, look, they all did well. Like I say, they're all heroes. But you know, particularly, I know that you're a big fan of Harry Taylor. He was another one that did all right on the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I saw him at Hartlepool, and then I don't think it was a fair reflection that score. But their Mancini tore us apart. But he threw himself in front of everything. I thought he was outstanding, man of the match for me. And
to be fair, you know, Paul, that's where we are at the moment. These players are sticking their bodies on the line for the club. So you know, as I've already said. No one. I think that's another bizarre thing. You're sitting in that stand watching the game, and always you get a few little mumbles and rumbles. You know, it's like when you're at a football club, there's a lot of negativity, even for the most positive of people. But I don't think anyone there can actually have a pop at any of the players or criticise them because the circumstances we're in, and you know that they're doing it all for the right reasons out there, and they're giving everything they've got for this club in dire straits.
It's us against the world.
Big time.
So, the clock is ticking. 4th of October fastly approaching. Is it going to happen, this takeover, do you think?
Do you know what? I'm a great believer in I won't believe anything's happening until, the contracts have been signed and it's done and dusted. Obviously, months ago now, I went to a tournament at Roots Hall at the end of the season. Funnily enough, our producer Steve organised, called World Cup on Sea, which was to raise money for the Harp Homeless charity, where a lot of firms play to go and play 7-a-side in a round robin, then through to the final and win it. And there was a lot of the noise that day about one of the firms there going around telling everyone they were going to buy the club and that they were going to be the saviours. As I say, I'm very pessimistic about that. I always believe, and I might be wrong, that serious people keep their powder dry and their mouth shut and they don't announce anything until it's done. They don't go around blowing their own trumpets and smoking big cigars. So, I've... So far, that's been the case, but as I say, you never know what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, absolutely. Unlike, this Australian fella, showing interest.
Justin Rees, is it? He's a brilliant name for a headline, because if he does save us before October the 4th, he's just in time, isn't he? So, that's brilliant. There's loads of puns we can play on there at later days. But again, I hope he's a serious player. But again, I'm still very sceptical about someone rolling up and letting it be known he's in the crowd at Bromley, and he's here and, I know people can't go into detail about things, NDAs and all that sort of stuff, but I'm very, 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 as I've already said, a great believer that people that are doing these things, serious business people, don't sort of show their hand until the thing's nearly done.
Well, there is a lot of good people at that club, and the people at the council are working hard as well to get things moving. And Anna Firth has been doing a lot of work.
The MP, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Doing a lot of work bringing us into Parliament, having these conversations. They're saying, this is what is happening to our club. And I believe we've reached out.
Yeah, I believe there's talk of trying to get her on for a future episode. And yes, she has done a lot to raise the profile about what's going on here. But again, not trying to be sitting here with a big N on the front of my forehead, for negativity. But, there are so many great people involved with this club. We've seen it from people, cleaning the birds' poo off the seats and painting the ground to get it ready, from the players that are going out there and Kev every week, what they're doing, and the people working at the club not being paid for months. People that love this club, the heart and soul of the club. But the main thing here is, it doesn't matter who wants to come in and take over the club. The most important thing is, does Ron genuinely want to sell?
And that's the question. So, next up, away to Halifax. Looking forward to it?
Oh, yeah. Always lovely to make a trip to the Shay. You been there?
Nah, mate. Have you?
One or two times. I've probably got enough stories about Halifax that I could do a Shaymen podcast.
Oh, share.
I've always had this fantasy that they come out at the start of the game to Move Any Mountain by the Shaymen. Because I thought, it's quite apt because, that's a song that sort of lifts you. You can beat anyone. You can move any mountain, no matter how good the opposition are. So I always imagine them coming out to that. But, yeah, some great times going to the Shay. I always remember going there once when our old midfield enforcer Peter Butler was the caretaker boss there, I think, for a while. And the blind section was next to the dugout where he was, and they were actually giving him stick for the style of football they were playing during the match, all the blind people, which was quite amusing.
Fantastic.
There was another time, I think there used to be a really great feature that I used to love. It used to be the highlight of my season. Sorry, times have changed now. The PC brigade might not like this. So I can't even get any words out, I'm so excited. But every week on the official Halifax Town website, they used to have a section called the Shay Babes. Oh. And they'd have some beautiful Yorkshire lass dressed up in a very tight-fitting first-team kit that looked like it had been plucked from the 80s and stuck in the noughties. So, I miss that sort of thing in modern life. That's disappeared. Would you be a fan of the Shay Babes?
Absolutely.
And talking of beauties, another memory from Halifax of the Shay was... It was where brown, bronzen, German love god Lars Unger made his debut for the club.
Lars
Unger.
Oh, mate. Yes, what a player.
What a legend.
Lars Unger.
Unbelievable.
Great.
Bundesliga to the Essex Riviera.
There we are, mate.
I think, generally one of our greatest ever foreign players.
Hands down, him and John Nielsen.
Him and Johnny Nielsen, and don't forget old Pepe Nadai. But no, Halifax, some good memories there. And I think there was another one, actually, where I did a midweek game, and I think one of our old players, Stuart Ferg, give the fans the finger, or away fans who'd not been giving him so much support, and he was made to come out afterwards and apologise to me, which I don't think he wanted to do for the newspaper. Exactly. Yeah. But anyway, forgetting all the lovely memories of trips to Yorkshire and Emmerdale country and steering clear of Cane Dingle in the bar. It's going to be a tough game. Halifax are unbeaten in 5.
Yep.
They haven't lost a game at home this season. They've only conceded once, but they haven't won since the first game of the season at home, and they've drawn 2. So if we'd added them 10 points back, we'd be level peggings in the table. So, it's a game where I feel the boys continue as they are and show the spirit they have and iron out those, little things that have cost them on the road recently. That it's somewhere we can go and get something.
So, Bernie, any injuries in the squad? I hear Bridgie had a bit of a knock.
Yeah, I think he's the only concern. He had to come off in the second half on Saturday about Kidderminster. Apparently he's got a bit of a problem with his ankle that obviously the club are looking at, and I think it's just one of those. We'll see if he's lining back up at the weekend.
Well, hopefully it will be, because we are, 15 players. We need everyone.
Bare Bones FC, mate.
Bare Bones FC. We need it all on. But we've got nothing to fear. I think we can go to Halifax and get a result.
We can move any mountain.
Indeed. So, who's the main threat at Halifax, would you say?
They've got a guy, Rob Arco, who's got 3 goals from this season, so I imagine he's the one that they'll have to take care of. And I think I think I'm right, he got the goal from in their last win, which was a nice 1-0 derby at Rochdale, so he'll be revved up and ready to have a go at us.
Well, I'm pretty sure we'll keep him quiet.
Let's hope so.
Right then, so we want to get you all involved. For those of you that are going to Halifax, send us your report, those in the stand. You can email us at hello@shrimperscast.com, or you can drop it into a WhatsApp on 07475 489 328, and, well, we'll pick the best one and put it out. What do you reckon, Ben?
Yeah, just get on your phone, just do a little 30-second round-up of the game for us, and, the best one, we'll stick it up.
Happy days. So, you got to interview a very special guest earlier on, didn't we? So
I was very fortunate for this first edition of the podcast that we got Kevin Maher to come round to my house for a cup of tea and a few chocky biscuits. So, we should get to that, because I'm sure that everybody's had enough of listening to me and you rattling on at about 100 miles an hour. I think also we should mention that this is the first one we've done. It's a learning curve for all of us, and I'm sure that if you go into your settings, wherever you're listening to, there must be somewhere where you can slow us down a bit so it doesn't sound so fast. Anyway, on to the interview with
King Kevin Maher.
Okay, so in my normal job, editing the sports pages of the national newspapers, I read a lot about badly run clubs, the Wolveses, the Leicesters, the Southamptons of this world, managers who have the toughest jobs in football, poor Sean Dyche and people like that. Billions and millions spent at that level of the game. I'd say you've got the hardest job in football. Do you agree?
Without knowing what they go through, I'd say it's funny, because like you say, I get tagged in stuff, and people saying about the hardest job. I think Jamie Carragher was it. He's getting pelters from our fans, I think. About,
he was, absolutely,
you know what I mean? And that's the world outside of Premier League football. You know what I mean? I'd say there ain't been too many tougher at the moment. It's been very, very tough.
I mean, in football as well, especially at the top level, you see a lot of this badge kissing and loving the club and all that. At Southend, as a player, and now as a manager, I mean, you've worn the t-shirt, you've got the badge, you've got the matching blue and yellow duvet case and pillows. You've done a lot at the club, but you genuinely do love this club, and everyone can see that. So how the current predicament? It must be very frustrating for you having that much, affection for the club.
Yeah, I think listen, you know more than any what I've gone through at the club as a player, and then now obviously come back. I coached at the club 23s, went away and come back. So, it's my club if you want. I've been here for such a long time. I've never bought into the badge kissing and all that. You know what I mean? The fist pumping, and it's part and parcel. You see it all the time now. I think I often say this: talk's cheap. You know what I mean? Actions that speak louder than kissing any badge and all that. So, it's ingrained in me really, the club, and what it's like and what it's about. The people, it's people. Football club's always about people, isn't it? The people who work there, the fans, etc. And when you get to know so many people at the club, I think that strengthens a bond if you want.
Is it a bit like that siege mentality? Us against everybody else. I mean, do you feel that's something you're trying to foster at the club at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely, and it is, and it's not false. Sometimes you can try and forge that. I think it's people will see through a little bit of fakeness and we're trying, but not really there, but it is there. You know what I mean? And I can see that with the fans and especially the staff at the club as well.
I mean, how hard is it? I mean, for yourself, for the players, when you walk in there, and you turn up and you say hello to people and stuff like that, and you know in the not too distant past that they've not been paid for months and months and months. I mean, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's hard, especially, you know, the staff who went a few months without pay. That's for them how difficult it is and how they kept.
And they're not going to be big earners, are they?
No.
You know, not that anyone's earning tens of thousands down there on the playing side, but
no, absolutely.
But it hits them even harder, Kev, doesn't it?
Oh, no, absolutely. And like for them to keep turning up every day and work the way they did and show the loyalty they have done for the football club, it makes, you know, when you're winning football matches, it's for them really and for the fans, and you know, especially the ones that, as you say, are stuck by us and you know, are struggling if you want at times. And I think the players see that as well. To be fair to them, you know, even when they went through times where it's difficult for them, they see the other side of it. You know, I think because, you know, when you get a smaller club like we are, you know everyone at the club.
Yeah.
You know everyone's name. You know people. And, you know what it means to them, and they're carrying on working and doing everything they can to keep the football club going. Then I feel a sense of responsibility to do the best for them.
Yeah, it gives you added impetus and the players, and I imagine it helps you with a few of your team talks as well.
Yeah, no, exactly, and we've had you know, you look for an edge, all right, but it's there anyway. You know what I mean? It's not that I haven't got to find that. It's there, and it's us against the world, and we're doing it for whoever and everyone out there, the fans who turn up every week, and to get the crowds we've got. Then you know you've got your why if you want. And that when you've got a cause, it makes it easier. Yeah,
you've definitely got a cause there, and the fans have been unbelievable. But I mean, it's a silly question to ask you, but obviously there's never any. I can tell from talking to you now, there's never been any point where you thought about just jacking it in, which a lot of people would have done, wouldn't they?
Yeah, possibly. No, I've never thought that way. I enjoy going to work. I've got to say, you know what I mean, with the staff, Daz, Benno, and
you got a great team around you, haven't you?
Yeah, brilliant. You know, like right the way through with, you know, John Steele, and you know, to say the work Tom Lawrence and Reece at the club do, and I could probably go through and name every one of them.
Yeah.
And it'd probably be wrong of me to miss anyone out.
Yeah.
But the media team, etc.
It's getting a bit like an Oscar speech.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
But I understand. But everybody.
Yeah, of course. You know what I mean? And we
Yeah.
enjoy coming in, and we, as mad as it is, we have a laugh, and we enjoy working hard with the players. And they, you know, if the players were, if there was any big timers or arrogance or anything like that, I think that would make it a little bit thing. But
I don't think you've got no room for that, have you? So you can't afford to do that,
exactly,
can you?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, again, I speak about cliches, about hardest jobs in football and stuff like that. One of the other big cliches in football is the most important relationship at a club is between the manager and the chairman. How does that work with you and Ron?
Yeah, listen, I think everyone knows. I probably speak to Tom Lawrence on a daily basis.
I was going to say, is it more Tom?
Yeah. You listen, and I think for me coming in the job and having someone like Tom in the position he is makes the job a lot easier. And I liaise with him daily, you know, so on all the aspects really. So, you know, in terms of my line of duty or who I go to is Tom.
So it's Tom you report to. So is there literally not really any dialogue with Ron? That's all been taken out?
There has been, you know.
Would you speak on a weekly basis?
Probably not.
No. Okay. And has that made the job tougher, or is Tom a good substitute for that?
Tom's been brilliant, you know, as a sounding board for everything, and you know, I think what he's done for the club and, you know, stuff he deals with on a daily basis, you know, even compared to me sometimes, you know, to give him the credit that he deserves on that.
Okay. I mean, it must be a very hard job for Tom as well, because you speak to Tom, but then he's the middleman. Then he's got the hard task of trying to speak to Ron, hasn't he?
Listen, I don't know where that goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to comment on.
No, but you just take whatever you need to Tom, and you hope that something might come of it. Okay, I appreciate that. That's okay, fine. Okay, I mean, we were talking about you've got a really tight-knit squad. You've obviously got good boys. You've been at the club as a player when it hasn't always been that case, which we'll talk about a bit later. But you've got a great team there. You've got to have a tight-knit team when you've only got, say, 15, 16 players on a match day. How do you prepare for that? I mean, what's your typical match day? I mean, when you're training in the week, so you've obviously trained today, we're talking on the eve of the Kidderminster game, you've spoken today, trained today. When you're trying to recreate scenarios in training and you want the players to like make it a bit more edgy, so it's like, you know, being in a real game. Yeah. You must wince every time you see him put a tackle in, mustn't you?
Yeah, a little bit. You know, it's hard, and that's been the challenge through pre-season and the start of the season is, you know, the less numbers we have, you know, how we can adapt training a little bit. Normally Thursday's your tactical day, so we ideally go at 11v11 of some sort, you know. But
where are you getting the other players from?
I know, yeah. So that's the difficult bit.
Is that? Are they the other people at the club? Yeah, and then like the tea ladies joining in and shit. Yeah,
they're in the gym every
yeah,
day.
okay.
Yeah, they're looking fit.
Better fit than ever. Yeah.
So that's difficult. Like we had when Heathie's with the youth team and that we can sometimes use some of them when we need to, and they've like obviously been good as gold. So,
good experience for them
yeah,
as well.
Exactly. So no, we had to. You can adapt training in certain ways, and that's the part and parcel of having what you've got to manage.
I mean, is there a sense of you need to wrap them up? I mean, you as a player, you like to put your foot in, but is there a sense of a bit of wrapping them up in cotton wool?
A little bit, you know. There's been certain bits during pre-season and some weeks that you've got to go, right, we need to ease off now because, you know, if we had a bigger squad, you'd be able to manage it better. You'd be able to take one or two out and rest. But we know the same group have got to go Saturday, Tuesday. Yeah. And, you know, the hard bit is the monitoring the distances they run, etc., which we haven't been able to do. So, yeah, you almost have to, you know, go by your eye and what you feel, and you get a general feel of they're a bit quieter on Monday. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they're at,
well, you get to know people, don't you? Yeah. I mean, how's Curry done? I mean, has he done enough to earn a contract? Because to be fair, he used to slaughter us for Barnet, didn't he?
Yeah, that's
every game.
I remember they come on was it a Friday night?
Yeah.
Talking about.
He absolutely killed us, didn't he?
Yeah. So no, they're looking fit. I've got to say, him and Benno are in good shape.
Are you still getting around the pitch?
Trying.
Yeah.
Probably not as much as
Manager, sit back, mate. That's what it is. Yeah, we'll keep them over there. Sorry, mate. That's my fault. But back to the fans. I mean, fans are obviously the heartbeat of any club, the lifeblood of any club.
Yeah.
How do the players feel when they hear that? I mean, and do you even, is it talked about in the changing room, or is it something you try and put a blanket ban on where the fans are outside Ron's house, or they're protesting outside and during the games?
Yeah.
You know, is that something that's spoken about?
We don't speak about it as such in meetings or anything like that. You know, they'll obviously be aware of what's going on. We can't hide away from that fact.
Social media.
Yeah. You know, as much as I tell people stay off it because it can be a toxic place. You know what I mean?
Course, yeah.
But they wouldn't be naive enough to not know what's going on. And you know, the protest the other night on the pitch with
actually tennis
balls.
Yeah. Did you keep any?
Yeah, I think people were throwing them back on.
Yeah, I think they were. Yeah,
but yeah, they'll know. I have to take. You know, like they're taking their stride. They take so much of it in their stride, and they just get on with playing football, I think.
I mean, how do you feel that? Because I imagine there's obviously a big part of you that understands why they're doing it. You've got empathy with them for doing that because you know they're fighting for the future of their club, as you are as well. But obviously that disrupts the game, if you like. And obviously it was a good game against Eastleigh. Is that something it's just part? You've just got to get on with it and shut it out. Do you understand that's going to happen?
Yeah.
And there could obviously be more of it.
Yeah, you've got to get on with it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Our focus is always on the game, and I think you're that engrossed in the game that it stopped it for a few minutes, but you know once you get on, it's all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I take it Ron's not at the games anyway. Is he holding the fault?
No.
But I'm sure that it would have got back to him. I think again, our football's changed since you was a player. Mental health's a big thing now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which maybe when you was a player, you wouldn't have been able to talk about something like that in the changing room because you'd have been seen to be a wimp or a bit of a pussy or something. You know, it's a very masculine, environment, and you can't show weakness because you get ripped, don't you? It's dog eat dog, you know.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Does that play a big part in what's going on? And I'm not just talking about the players, but obviously, you know, people worried about getting their wages and stuff like that. Does that come into it? Is it something you're aware of? Something you have to, you know?
I think mental health. Listen, it's huge in the world.
Yeah,
you know, not like,
in the modern world, more and more. Yeah,
because people are more aware of the stuff that goes on, how they're feeling, etc. It's only in football. It's a huge part as in any other sport, and you know, not just. I think it comes along on a daily basis. You know, you deal with players who might be struggling at home or might be struggling to not playing. Or,
do you feel you have to put the arm around people a lot more?
Yeah, absolutely. We said, you know, one of the things when I first come to the club, we were the office at the training ground. We just had the door open. Like I didn't want it closed; it had to be open, and so the players can see us. We're not switched off from them. If you ever need anything, just come in and sit down.
Open door. Yeah.
Open door policy.
Which is something you might not have had in the past.
No, yeah.
Managers didn't want to speak to the players, did they? No.
Absolutely. And like I think when I was growing up in football, you had to get on with stuff and you had to work things out yourself. And there's a lot more resources to help with people, you know, in terms of you know, if they want to speak to someone away from the club, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so that's something you have to look into, and do you have to get any training into that side of things? Or
no, I haven't done that.
No, but you're aware of where there's resources and stuff like that. Yeah.
And listen, football, it's always about people, isn't it?
And confidence. Yeah.
It's people. Football's about people, and to get the best out of people, you've got to understand people, and you've got to know what hopefully makes people tick. It might be a time to give them a bit of volley if you want, but there's also a time to go, come here, you need a chat. And I think you have to be more understanding nowadays what people are going through. Yeah. And that's throughout the world, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. It's a much more difficult.
But I think the other side of it is, well, I hate to think there's nothing wrong with saying people are resilient and tough. You know what I mean? That's part of the world as well.
Yeah, if they really are like that, and that's just not not the front and the inside, because you can see it's not always in the inside; it's on the outside, is it?
Of course it is.
And people put up a pretense, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. And if someone is tough, well, fair play. You know what I mean? You've gone through a lot, but you come out the other side, and that's a credit and that's a quality to have as well.
Yeah.
And I don't think that should be overlooked either.
No, absolutely.
You know, you get knocked down all the time, but you've got to get back up. And that's,
of course you have.
Life throws at you.
It's that Chumbawamba song, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that's it, isn't it? Yeah.
I can hear it as soon as you said it.
Yeah.
We're not going to sing it, but but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
And I like to think players and staff and everyone are showing that at the club as well, and that should be.
Yeah, not just the 11 on the pitch and on the boys on the bench and you guys in the dugout, but everyone.
And that's enormous credit to everyone. At the football club.
Yeah, because it's difficult. It's very difficult. Yeah. Doing a great job, mate, in very, very hard circumstances. I think I said to you at the very start. The frustration must be, we just said earlier, Luton had 5 seasons in the conference. Yeah. They went down that year from the Championship when you was at Blues playing with Leeds. Yeah. But that's the potential, isn't it? There's always hope, isn't there? And I always think you don't want to get too over the top, but I look at Bournemouth and they're similar club. Brentford, Reading,
Swansea. Remember when we were battling through them years?
I'm talking about fan bases and definitely Luton.
Yeah, 100%.
So good things can happen. And again, does that frustrate you because you see the potential? If things are different, the potential's there, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's something we talk about. Stilly talks about a lot because he went to Luton in a similar position when they were in this league, and he goes, "There's so many similarities to what happened at Luton." And I think if you put everything in the right place and the structure's right, anything can happen. Yeah. Anything can happen at a football club, and everyone's pulling in the same way. And everyone's on the same page. Anything can happen. I see a lot of that, and I see people in the right places, like the staff we've got around the place. All that's already in place. The team's not a million miles away from being a very, very good team, and with a few additions, we believe we can be successful. And I think once momentum changes and it goes the other way, it becomes very hard to stop. Yeah. And that's the hope of what we think we can achieve.
And as we've said, doing it for those fans, fans that have gone in there and painted that ground, cleared the birds, crap and foxes flew off the seats. They've done all of that. Some people won't agree with it. They say, you're doing that. That's only helping Ron. Yeah. But then there's the other side of it. They're helping their club. That's right. They're backing you and your boys. Yeah. And again, some of the fans that are staying away and some are going. And I understand both sides. And they're only going to away games. Yeah. But obviously, you still 6,000 still turn up, which in that crowd is massive.
It's incredible. Yeah.
So. Just your last message to those fans, Kev.
Yeah, listen, we see the potential, and although it's difficult, we talk about, in the change room, we have something that adversity is the founder of success. And I think through this, you'll find that when it changes, the building blocks are built for success, and I think they're there. And I think once we get out of the situation we're in, and touch wood, that all goes to plan. We're ready to take off. I think the football club, for the people, as you say, I keep talking about the staff who work there, the fans who turn up week in, week out. Once the tide turns, I think we can go on a journey, and that's always the hope. You've got to have the hope and belief that it's going to happen, because I believe the players we've got and what we can add to it. Once it does turn, think we'll take some stopping.
Okay, good luck. Thanks, mate. Brilliant.
Cheers, thank you, mate. Appreciate that.
Have some of that. What an interview that was.
Yeah, do you know what? It was really lovely. Like I say, great for Kev to come around and help us launch this podcast. I've always worked in a newspaper medium, which is a very cut and dry industry. So it was so much nicer to be sat here around the table having a more intimate chat, if you like. Kev really opened up. You can see he's not your typical footballer. He's a very articulate man, very intelligent, got some really interesting things to say, and just when you watch this on the YouTube channel, you can see the expressions on his face, how much he cares about the club. He really, really, really is all in for turning around this situation at Roots Hall.
Oh, absolutely. It was such an honest interview, and a legend gets thrown about too easily, but he really is Mr. Southend at the minute.
He is. And do you know what? There's the thing that really strikes me about Kev, and it was the same when he was a player, even though he had that, desire to win at all costs. There's no ego there with the guy. He's a really humble guy, just like, I'd say, proper fella,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we are on Twitter, and look us up now at Shrimperscast, and we had Sean Malone tweeted us, and he just said it speaks absolute volumes that Kev more or less openly admits that he's glad that, Tom Lawrence communicates with him and not Ron Martin. And then he goes on to mention something else about spanners and screws, which you can't really talk about. But
well, yeah, I mean, I think, and look, we had to tread a little carefully. We couldn't go in on Kev with the full, Rottweiler treatment, because at the end of the day, he's the manager of the club. He has to be careful what he says. But like I say, when you look at the YouTube side of this, you can see the facial expressions, you can see the reactions, and I think, you can read between the lines for yourselves. And at the end of the day, he's the man we need where he is.
Absolutely.
There's also going to be a full-length version of that interview dropping later in the week, which is clocking in at just over an hour, where I speak more in depth with Kev about his career, as well as his time in the managerial hot seat at Roots Hall, about his playing days, the highs and the lows, his struggles when he first joined the club, winning the double promotions as captain, beating Man United and Ronaldo, and just talking about the players he played with and the managers he played under. So look out for that. It'll be dropping later in the week. So wherever you're listening to your podcasts, make sure you hit the subscribe button, so you get it when it drops and you don't miss out.
Also, there is a bit of a get-to-know-you bit, a bit of bonus material coming out on YouTube.
Yeah.
So, search Shrimperscast on YouTube, like and subscribe while you're there, of course. And, you did a bit of a get-to-know-you. Anything stand out from that?
Again, it was a lovely, just light-hearted piece. We had the right laugh with it, getting to know you. It's something we're going to do every week with all the people we speak to, or every podcast we do. Just firing off some random questions, really, sort of based on the old feature that used to get in the football programmes, where it was a player talking about all the things they like, like their favourite food, their favourite car, their favourite drink, etc., etc. So I did a bit with that, but threw in a few more funnier questions at the end about Elvis J. Hill and Messi teammates in the away hotel, and also who had the biggest something in the shower. But watch it for yourself. It was a real laugh, and Kev had a crack with it. It makes good viewing, I think.
Yeah, love that. Excellent. Now, as you can see here, we've got our Scrabble bag. No expense spared. We've absolutely done our nuts on this. The budget has gone on the Shrimpers Scrabble.
Shrimpers Scrabble. What's all that about then, mate?
Well, what we're going to do, every week, you're going to put your hand in, we're going to tag it in turns. Do you want to go first, yeah?
Like the old FA Cup draw, isn't it?
Indeed. Better than that, mate, because what you're going to do is you're going to pull out a letter.
Yeah.
And then, first thing, Shrimper's memory that comes to it with that letter. Here we go.
No pressure then, mate.
No pressure at all.
Have a good old jiggle around.
Go for it.
Here we go, mate. What have I got? I'm going to pull out an X, aren't I? Let's have a look.
Go on.
G. Oh, G.
G.
Graham Jones.
Graham Jones.
Graham Jones, who's like rent-a-coach. He's been Martinez's number 2 with Belgium and at Everton. I think he's at Newcastle at the moment with Eddie Howe, isn't he?
I believe so.
And, all jokes aside, a very highly respected coach. But he had a rough time down here when he signed for us. He obviously wasn't fully fit coming towards the end of his career. And I remember, funnily enough, after we lost at home to Kidderminster Harriers a game, and I wrote a piece about him in the Echo, saying he needed to be taken out of the side because he wasn't fit enough. He's obviously got a goal-scoring pedigree from his past. And time to recharge the batteries, taking it out the firing line, no pun intended, and come back in. Always tried to be critical, but, in a proper way, constructively. Anyway, didn't like it, did he? I got tipped off he was going to be dropped for the next game, which from memory was Exeter at home. But Mark Rawle got one of his groin strains yet again. And Jonesy was back in. So what happens? Within about 5 minutes, the ball's coming in the box. He shinned one in from about 2 yards, run up to the press box, giving it the old one-fingered salute. After the game, old Nick Alliker, bless him, on the BBC Essex, all his Christmases have come at once. He's sat there with him with a mic, getting the interview. Graham Jones telling him how hard it's been for him at Roots Hall since he arrived. It was hard for him because, he had the weight of a £10,000 fee from St Johnstone on his back. And, the local reporter, as in me, had turned the whole of Roots Hall against him. And
You
it's
brute.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? And then he said, and it's really unfair because I'm injured, which is what I said in the first place. So that's my memory. God bless you, Graham Jones.
Should we get him on?
We can try.
Yeah.
So we've already talked about getting to know you with Kevin Maher. How about getting to know us, Paul?
Yeah, why not?
Let's have a little chat. You know, we've both supported Blues for a long time.
Yep.
Let's have a little chat about some of those milestone games and players that have made us want to do something like this today. So, what was the first game you ever went to, if you can remember?
Like many years ago. Well, my dad took me and my brother. It was 1991. I was about 10. And yeah, Bristol City at home. Drew 1-1. But I'll never forget the game. Never forget walking in that North Bank. That smell, the burgers, the noise. You know, and you're standing on that terrace.
The oils rubbed into muscles as the players warmed up.
And I was hooked.
Yeah.
From that moment on, the minute I saw the hello turf of Roots Hall, I was like, yeah, this is it for me. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Spot on.
similar thing for me. I mean, you're making me feel like a proper old git now. But yeah, my dad, God rest his soul, he only ever took me to one game, sadly, which was in 1978, which was at home to Swansea.
Right.
Same thing as you, mate. Really, I can remember struggling to push the turnstile open with some old boy sitting behind it laughing with a flat cap. My dad pushed it and they both laughed to each other after putting some coins through this like awful rusty metal grill that he was sat behind. Just had enough money, room to stick your money in. And walking up the steps into the East Stand with all these people, it seemed like the biggest place in the world. And then there's that doorway that opens into the actual stand where you see all the seats. And to me, it was like stepping through the wardrobe in a football Narnia,
Yeah.
Getting out there, never seen a football pitch so big. And again, those smells, probably didn't recognise what those cocktails were then, but the oils of the muscle rub, the cigarettes, and
it.
maybe a few bits of beer breath flying around. But I fell asleep, I think, through most of the game. And I didn't realise till many years later that my dad had told us it was a 0-0 draw, but until like the internet come out or someone actually wrote a book recording all the Southend's results that we'd actually got done 2-0. So
Right.
Anyway, that's my story. And for you, what about what was the game that made you actually, if it wasn't the one you've already said, the game that made you fall in love with the club?
Oh, well, that would be probably when Brett Angel, seeing him play for the first time, it was great. That high-tech kit, that team, Paul Sansom in goal, Andy Answer, great. That team, being a young lad watching them, and the old Pro-Am cards you used to have, we used to deal them out of school and everything. That was it.
Any particular game? Or it was just the squad.
Just the squad. That time, the whole season. That's what made me just the whole thing.
So would that have been the season under Webby when we got to the Promised Land for the first time in the old second division?
That's it. And then Ronnie Winning came in and we fell like a stone.
Yeah, a few
Fantastic.
years later. A few years in between that, but a few years later. But we did. But we can talk about that another time, poor old Ronnie. But I think there was a lot of fun and games during his time in the club.
That's when I did my first away game that season.
Okay, what was your first away game?
Away at Palace.
Okay.
We got thumped 6-1. Finished bottom of the league. Good times.
Always good memories, aren't they?
Loved it even more.
Well, the game that made me fall in love with Blues was in the 87-88 Division 3 season, which was a successful season where we battled to stay up after having a terrible start, getting stuffed 8-1 at Gillingham, 6-2 at Notts County, 4-1 it was at Port Vale. I actually remember going to Fulham at the end of that season at Craven Cottage for the first time, because they were down in the dumps with us in those days. And everyone on the supporters club coach was hoping we'd get beat 5-1 that day, because then we could get T-shirts done of 8-7, 6-5, 4-3, 2-1, because we'd lost by all the other scores that season. But anyway, my favourite game, the game that made me fall in love with Blues when I was a young teenager, was a midweek game against Derby, who were in the top division at the time. Like I told you, we were awful. We were third division. Paul Clark was just starting to turn it around, which would be successful in the end. And we beat Derby 1-0. Big Roy McDonough slotting home a penalty. I think it might have been the first time we ever beat top flight opposition on home soil. I'm not sure. They had John Gregory playing that night, Steve McLaren playing that night, but the one was obviously Peter Shilton in goal. Roy put the penalty in.
Boom.
Someone ran on the pitch of the North Bank, dropped their pants, and Shilt's got pelters from pink toilet rolls.
Happy days.
Went up there, got a 0-0 draw, knocked them out, and that was history. First away game, same season. All shot away right at the end of the season. David Crown was another one of my heroes, who actually we're going to speak to for the next podcast.
Absolutely.
He got a goal in the last minute. I don't think there's many Southend fans that have actually seen us win on their first away game. So I felt very, very, very fortunate. Who was your favourite player of all time?
Oh, good question. It's got to be Freddie for me. Absolutely. Just in that hat trick in his first game, and the goals he scored. He was a big game player. Look, the Man United game, the player final, Lincoln. Just seeing turning him round, finger in the air, running away, sending us in Wales absolutely we went all potty, didn't we? It was great.
I think and that's the good thing about me and you. I think there's sort of two sort of generations of Southend fans that saw us do it the first time, go up to the second tier in successive seasons under Webby. And then we saw it again, obviously, which was your first time, probably. You remember the best under Tilly. Yeah. But to both, it was extra special to me because the first time we'd ever done it, and no one ever thought Southend were going to get into what is the Championship now. But then to actually repeat it and do it in successive seasons again, so we both share that and probably enjoy seeing more players, different players more. And to me, obviously, it won't be a surprise to anyone. My favourite player at Southend was Big Roy McDonough. It wasn't everybody's favourite. You either loved him or hated him. But again, David Crown will tell you, David will say I wasn't, a brave man. And Roy used to batter people around for me, and that's why he scored so many goals he did. But the thing with Roy was, he looked like a porn star with his tash and his barnet. You knew he'd give everything, even if he'd had about 10, 20 pints the night before. Good or bad. He was a character. He'd speak to you in the crowd. As a kid, he'd come up to you at a throw-in and say, all right, mate, how are you, pal? How you doing, pal? And that used to set you up as a kid when you went back to the school on Monday morning. So Big Roy spoke to me, on Saturday. You loved it. And when he scored a goal, he used to just run to the North Bank and he used to stick his arms up in the air. He looked like Basil Fawlty, didn't he? He used to stick his arms up in the air and people used to jump out of the North Bank and you just see his arms sticking out the top of him, like all these people crowded around him because he was just like a cult hero, and you also knew at the end of the game, there was some lucky lady going home with him as well. So for me, he may not have been the greatest, but he was my best of all time.
Man, we've had some characters, haven't we, over the years in our club, and long may it continue.
Absolutely. Well, I think we've run out of time now, mate. But do you know what? I've really enjoyed doing that today, and I hope people, wherever they're listening or watching, have enjoyed listening to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been fun making this, and looking forward to number 2. But big thanks to everyone for listening and for all your support. In particular, Will Thatcher and Siobhan Best for making our brilliant logo. Mr. Jude Keel for that banging track, the theme tune that we've got.
Killer tune.
Indeed, absolutely. And then we've got, finally, don't forget, we've got get us on all socials. So subscribe and follow us on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram and Facebook for more exclusive content. And all the links are also on our website, www.shrimperscast.com. And, well, here we go, up the blues.
Up the blues.